everybody for coming to Zombies Night. We were kind of doing this as something spontaneous. The reason why it came the way that it did to our consciousness was in Zombies class, most of the themes that we discover in there are all about drudgery and getting stuck in some kind of routine that you can't get out of. You're in a paradigm that has been imposed on you, and there's no way that you can do anything with any real spontaneity. And so Dr. Hicks and I were talking after class one day, and we said, well, let's just do something and just see what happens and try to make something really authentic, to use the fancy Heideggerian philosophy, something that might resonate on whatever level and give us a chance to meet. And so here we are, thank you, Dr. Hicks, for putting this together. And so over the course of the semester, which Victor and Taylor, some of the classmates here can attest to, the class takes certain directions, and you just never know what kind of direction is going to happen, but there seems to be something kind of great that all of a sudden blossoms out of that. And so what we decided to do tonight was allow some people to be creative and have our wonderful professor Felipe is here, so we want to thank him for coming all the way. And so he will be speaking here in shortly. And so why do we need to be aware of zombies? I think many of us know is because we if we're not careful can be a zombie. We can be zombified from whatever the debt or whatever the stress or whatever the family obligations are, and it can be a daunting task to break free from that. And I think one of the first ways to possibly break free is to discover that spontaneity, discover that magic, whatever it might be, and do it. And so for my particular project in class, I was working on unmasking the Bokor, or who are the puppet masters? Who are keeping us in this kind of illusion, or delusion, I should say. And most oftentimes, it's almost a betrayal, I think, because when we go to a party or when we go to have some type of entertainment, we don't realize that sometimes that type of entertainment is owned by a very entrenched company, let's say, or somebody involved in that industry. Their tentacles go pretty far and wide, and they have a vested interest to keep you coming back, to keep you consuming, whether it's the movies or whether it's going out to dinner. When I was going here as an undergrad, it was Coors and Milwaukee Light and Keystone Light, and everywhere you went there was a huge banner on campus to consume alcohol, and we obediently did what we were told to do. Nowadays, what are we asked to do? Anybody? Anyone?
Pharmaceuticals.
Yes. We are basically told to go to our doctor, get a prescription for some kind of opioid or whatever it may be, consume that, and live our lives like that. What are some of the other ones? Ladies, do we have any big red flashing neon things that we're like all supposed to do?
Makeup.
Right, MAC makeup, right? What's another one?
Skinny.
Oh, right, yeah. Go to the gym, get there, do the thing, look a certain way, get the latest yoga pants, whatever it may be, right? I'm just saying, for the guys, right? What's the thing for the guys?
Yoga pants as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we get sucked in. Long story short, wake up to our immediate self, What is immediately meaningful to us? What is that on a daily basis that can sometimes get us out of the trance? And so welcome to Zombie Night. Please be spontaneous in here. Enjoy, make some connections. I'm gonna, I guess, conclude by reading a poem. So this poem is called Kali Ma. My death is deep, inimitable, deeper than a Spartan decimation, an Armenian eradication, a Jewish Holocaust, indubitable, no Olympian god fathom its landscape. My death is deep, its entrails uncountable, its bowels unfillable, its grip unbreakable. My death is deep, no expression may hold it. No bones withstand its weight. No sentence describe its bed. My death is deep, every beginning, every breath, every whisper, every journey returns to me. My death is deep, no victory prevails, no darkness obscures, no stagnation fouls, no forgotten thought escapes the life I am. Thank you.
All right, so I'm in the fiction area of the MFA, but I write a lot of poetry. I started writing a poetry collection based on, I went to this used bookstore and I found this dictionary of theories. And it's all these different theories, philosophical, psychological, all these different ones. And so I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to go through this whole list of theories in this dictionary, and I'm going to start writing a poem for each one. So this first one I'm going to read is about this theory called the abandonment theory, which is essentially that God abandoned man and that we have to come up with our own morals and rules to make ourselves more divine, I guess, to get closer to God. So this one's called Left by Divinity. An ancient stone tablet sat glistening in the sand. To my right was a woman in tattered clothes, and to my left a visage of God, drifting further from my fingertips. I asked the visage why it was moving away so quickly, and it replied that I needed to be ready for the events to come. An answer that I found quite inconsiderate and appalling. It became a dark sunset, and I focused my attention back to the woman in the tattered clothes. She seemed to be singing a song very quietly. As I moved closer, the song grew quieter and quieter. Her voice was the voice of an angel. And she had the mouth of a snake. Her tongue whipped violently with every note. It was a sight to behold, but it was a lovely sight indeed. As I held her, there came a thick fog, and I looked back to the sunset, but it wasn't there. And I felt loneliness for the first time in forever, because God had abandoned me, and I was to make all my decisions on my own, alone. That's the first one. This next one is called La Commedia, which is Italian for the comedy. I'm a huge fan of Dante, so I kind of wrote this with that in mind. On a ship through the river Styx, I look at the old man seated to my left. He tells me to try a left-hand path to find where I belong in the next life. The waves are not as fierce as we had been warned, and the wind was gentle on our skin. The clouds are dark, but there is no rain. A 2-foot paddle lays at my right, and I know I should not row, for this journey is one that is supposed to take some time, and I am in no hurry. Just as I feel the urge to part my lips, a lightning bolt stretches above us and cracks the air with violent reverie. No rain falls. I reach for my pack and pull from it a satchel filled with sand from home. In the distance, I begin to see a dense mist. A rock stands in defiance of the river's rush. On the top of the rock is my sorrow. The shape it has taken is that of a blonde wolf. it howls into the great beyond for help. I motion to the old man that we need to save it, but he tells me that that is its greatest trick. For if the boat stops to save all of our sorrows, then we will never pass through into the next life, able to love again. This next one's called The True Crime. To be rid of all vice, or maybe all virtue, these hours will bend like silken thread. Hours that at first seem endless in our youth, but never waver in memoriam. Hours of sex, divine and less so. Wish I can count on one hand all the times I didn't feel so alone. And last, one of my biggest influences in poetry is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So I've always loved his poem, Kubla Khan. So I decided one day, I was like, I'm going to rewrite Kubla Khan, but about my hometown, which is Los Angeles. So I've started writing it, and I thought for this event I would read the first stanza, because I haven't finished writing it yet. And, I used to read that Coleridge used to keep it in his back pocket. He'd go to parties and read little bits of it to people, and they'd really like it. So I'm just going to read the first stanza, because that's basically what I've written. So it's called The Jungle. In Los Angeles did Charles Manson, a lonely, ordinary man, weep, where God, the Los Angeles River, ran through filth as much as I can stand, down to a maiden's wretched keep. So every whore who cornered there with open legs and sun-bleached hair, and there were many who got their kicks where they had blossomed into money and no longer had to turn their tricks, enfolding in the land of honey.
Grandma and I are going to set up. I'm going to read a poem, and then the band is going to play, and then Ben is going to go on. I'm changing the schedule a little bit, but he's patient with us because we have people who are filming traffic. So just talk for a few minutes about reincarnation and whatever for just a few seconds while we get This room, you knelt at my feet behind me, looking up at the laced up leather, the leper and bondage. Each line I spoke was synced up with an image and held it. The juxtaposition and held your breath, anticipating my next shift in political position, gesture, metaphor. The camera on a tripod in front of me rocked steady, the audience slightly confused but focused. Both of us remember in other moments feeling the funk, such gratitude for the funkitude of having met. What were you thinking? How did your loneliness taste? What caused your sadness? At what point did you notice tears welling up in your eyes? My tears were for the elephant that died after it was forced over the falls, Victoria Falls. Had it been shot for the ivory? No. It was chased by hotel guards, protecting tourists at border hotels between Zimbabwe and Zambia. While the tourists laughed, the locals cheered the elephant on, but the elephant drowned. We know that teaching a young elephant to get on his knees to let tourists mount is cruel. We, like the elephant, are the artists, are the entertainment. We're not the tourists. We, you and I, have been brought to our knees. Do we see each other with fear as monsters, as armadillos? They're mammals, you know, but they do carry leprosy. Will we be left by the side of the road dead in Mexico? Just two armadillos, the most common roadkill in Florida? Do you want to make a deal? Let's end this pain together in order to avoid becoming emotional roadkill. Should we bring enough weapons to make sure no one is hurt? So many have shared their wounds with us, shyly showing us the weapons that they would like us to use to release them from their self-imposed agony. Are we healers or morticians? We both imagine when we hug, what a euphemism, each other, goodbye. We both imagine having something with each other that addicts have trouble figuring out how to have fun, doing nothing, nowhere to go, no place to be, no need to score. This moment in this room, I needed so much to be a diva, and you were so grateful to be on your knees, bound and gagged, to be kneeling with
That was a tune called Paquito. This next one's a bossa called How Insensitive, featuring my phone melody again.
Oh, okay.
So hi, my name is Benjamin Juarez. I'm in Professor's Chicano Studies 396 class, right? Yeah, I do spoken word poetry. This poem is called Confidence, and here it goes. And yeah, just snap if you feel something, so like I know y'all are feeling it. Okay. If I had all the confidence in the world, I'd probably be dead. For every time my voice would become a trigger-happy pistol that popped off at those who attempted to shoot me down with negativity, for every moment my existence would become a grenade that blew up in a room full of hatred. For all the times I would throw these hands at any motherfucker who tried to throw shade at me. Yeah, okay. I'd probably be dead. If I had all the confidence in the world, I'd probably flirt. Like, a lot. I'd trot every pickup line that I've ever heard of and walk up to a woman in any public setting at any time, like, I don't know, in a library while she was reading a book with her headphones on, because, I mean, obviously, she wanted me to approach her. So, I'd march. With my chest puffed out and my shoulders staying upright and strong, I'd walk up to her and say, yo, what's up, baby? Now, I ain't a photographer, but I could picture you and me together. And she'd laugh and walk away, and I'd laugh and walk away, smiling, my face not turning red, my palms not sweaty, because I have all the confidence in the world. See, if I had all the confidence in the world, I wouldn't be writing this poem. I wouldn't dedicate hours to a piece that promises only 3 minutes of your attention. I wouldn't stare at you from across the room and be so hesitant on thinking of a reason to approach you, because I would know that me wanting to speak to you has always been a good enough reason. But instead I think a lot. I think about all that will go wrong, all that could go wrong, all the signs that you showed me that you weren't interested, like your conversation with another man that had you smiling, or the way you never bothered to talk to my face whenever you see me in the room. See, I think about all the signs that showed me that I had a chance, like the way you smiled when I spoke to you, like the way you looked into my soul when you met me, like the way you kissed me when I opened up to you. I think about this performance and think about whether or not this is a good idea. I fear that you'll know it's about you. I fear that I'll tear up during my performance. See, but if I had all the confidence in the world, I would cry on stage. I'd allow myself to feel my emotions, but instead, I hide behind this masculinity and this wordplay. My body receives headaches before tears. My emotions receive self-hatred before love. My soul becomes restless instead of resting. So please, do not hug me when I'm like this. Because I fear that I'll begin to depend on somebody to be there. Let me feel alone when I feel like I need somebody, so I can practice living a lifestyle that was meant for me. Do not allow me to confide in you when all these feelings arise, because I fear that I will cry for 6 years straight just to make up for all the tears that I've held back. Please, don't let me feel like I had all the confidence in the world, because I know if I would have all the confidence in the world, I still wouldn't have you. Thank you. That was that one. It's been a minute since I performed, you know what I mean? So I'm like trying to get into the groove and emotion and everything like that. So, all right, so this poem that I wrote, the poem is Suicidal Hotline. It was inspired by, I don't know if y'all have heard of a rapper named Logic. And yet, you know, like it's been on the radio, like, I don't want to be alive. You know what I mean? Like honestly, like that song is overplayed. I love it. I love the message and stuff like that. But they're literally killing a song that's meant about saving yourself. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I feel about that. But so here it goes. When it spoke, it said, "There are days where the scars on my wrists become closed curtains, wishing to be drawn open again, promising sunlight on the other side, and I have been living in darkness. There are days where these pills taste just like candy, creating such a sugar rush that might satisfy my craving, for I have had a sweet tooth for the longest time. There are days where this coffin feels just like my bed, small yet cozy, snug, as if its walls were cuddling me, and if I were to lift this blanket over me, I might just fall asleep. There are days where this noose looks just like a hammock, the perfect place to rest, for when the wind blows, the universe rocks me in its arms to sleep as I sway back and forth, closing my eyelids for the last time until I could finally dream. Eternally. But not today. Today, I saw a misled spirit fire a piece of art against a frightened soul. I saw the bullet spread open the skull without consent, force the body to be laid on top of the concrete, to let their memories be stepped on as they spilled out onto the pavement, which also means that today I saw a dollar bill as the key and the handcuff, which means I saw a Confederate flag as a symbol of hate, which means I saw America as a car stuck in the fast lane with its blinker on, swearing they want change but continue to stay down the same path, which means for the first time today I saw things the way the universe intended me to see them as today. My poetry spoke. It asked me to make it alive, so I called you 1-800-273-8255 just so you would think. At least for today. That's done.
Please welcome Veronica.
This poem is called Milk Chocolate. My history is not my own. It is the story of how I came to be. Origins. Our genesis began, as they all do, with a crying child, a group of crying children, asking their father, mother, a diaspora of people spanning across continents, oceans, deserts, ice caps, and ice cream, melting. I'm the result of, a child of, the earth itself, its geology in my genealogy, the world in all its glory. My mother, a daughter of slavery, a government official, gambler, a child of rape and deceit, hero-centric commodities. My father, a mutt, though he'd never admit, from the Native American tribe, long lost, forgotten, stolen, red, white, green, and the ghosts. Can you see my story now? It is the spice brought from India, I mean America, I mean Latino America, I mean the land of opportunity, I mean the land of oppression, I mean Bacal, my great-grandfather, my emperor. Was it his spice? It was his spice. I mean, the seed of life, his life and mine. El cacao, I mean cocoa. I mean what I say when I say we are one and the same in our difference and our dissonance.
Hello, I'm Edwin, and I'm taking creative writing with Professor Hicks. And it's a little short story I wrote it was my midterm. And just a heads up, I'm not an English major, so it's my first time writing. The story's called The Tooth Fairy, and it's by chapters, so I'll just read. Chapter 1, A Hobby. One of the best feelings in the world is taking someone's breath away, literally. Having your hands squeezed around their neck, seeing how their body suddenly becomes lifeless. While others have their meds, their booze, their dealer, this is my high. My psychologist is always telling me to do what makes me happy and pick a hobby, so I'm just following his advice. But instead of collecting stamps, I collect teeth. That's right. I've kept the tooth from every person I've killed. Which is why I carry some pliers with me everywhere. You never know when the perfect moment will come. Chapter 2, Oscar and Abby. Oscar's phone started buzzing in his pocket as he took a sip of his beer. He grabbed it, looked at the caller ID, and put it back. Being the best detective in his borough was not only a blessing, it was a curse. He loved being the toughest SOB in the Manhattan Police Precinct, but not when it interfered with his personal life. Insistently enough, Lieutenant Hernandez called him several times until he picked up the phone. Hernandez, it's my day off. I have a hot date waiting for me. What is it? Really? Now? Can't you get Murph for your leave? What do you mean it's not up for discussion? Fine, but you owe me one. As soon as he hung up, he saw her approaching. The gorgeous brunette in heels walking towards him was his date, and he had no idea how he was going to deliver the news. Hey there, you look stunning. Want to hear something funny? I had to slip out really quick. My boss is being a dick. Here, drinks are on me. As soon as Oscar laid down a 20, he reached for a quick kiss and rushed towards the bar exit. Abby, the brunette, was confused at first, but she didn't worry. She had all the time in the world. When the waitress came to take her order, she noticed something strange on the floor. The waitress leaned and picked up a pair of pliers laying on the ground next to her purse. She looked at Abby and asked, "Is this yours? Did you drop this?" Abby responded in a comical way. "Yeah, right. Like if I were to carry some pliers to a bar. Did someone call a plumber? Is your sink clogged? Haha." The waitress just shrugged it off. She offered Abby a drink and left with the pliers and her order. Abby just watched as she had lost her favorite pair of pliers forever. That officially meant tonight was over, and that really pissed off Abby. "Keep your cool. You don't want to draw too much attention," she told herself. Since she had nothing else that kept her there, Abby quietly walked out of the bar and headed into the night, like a stray cat scanning for food. Meanwhile, a few blocks down from the bar, Oscar had just reached Robert's diner. Unfortunately, he wasn't there for its famous banana cream pie. He was more interested in John Doe, the unidentified man lying face down on the alley next to him. Lorenzo Garcia, 22, multiple stab wounds on the chest. Time of death approximately 2 hours ago. Busboy called it in when he was taking out the trash, declared Lieutenant Hernandez. Everyone had already arrived at the party. They were just waiting for Oscar's keen eyes to remove the body. Oscar had a sixth sense for this stuff. He would always find things the CSI team missed. This time was no exception. After he checked the man's wallet, Oscar kneeled down towards the body and wondered, what kind of NYU grad student would have a missing tooth? Of course, this question was rhetorical, especially since everyone there knew what he was referring to. Ladies and gentlemen, we now officially have a serial killer on the loose. Oscar was right. 3 was the golden number. Any killer had to kill 3 consecutive times in a similar pattern to be considered serial. Within the past 2 months, the precinct had found 2 bodies, yet there was nothing that connected them until now. Past 2 bodies, along with the current one, had a missing tooth. Chapter 3, a challenge. The last guy, he was no match for me. After I seduced him into the alley, I pulled out a knife from my purse and gutted him like a pig. Just like that. No hesitation, no remorse. The only downside is, I'm getting really good at this stuff. They almost make it too easy on me. I think I'm gonna need a bigger challenge. Chapter 4, the call. Clearly, that is no coincidence. That has to be the killer's signature. Said Oscar. But as much as I love hunting down perverted maniacs, I really have to go. I flaked on my date, and I had to make it up to her. Oscar got into his car and dialed Abby. "Hey baby, I'm really sorry about that, but I was finally able to break free." "Oh really? You're okay with it?" "Yeah, I could definitely go to your place." "Yeah, I'll be there in 5. Meanwhile, Abby was planning her sweet revenge. One way or another, she was going to add another tooth to her collection tonight. Oscar, she thought, what an idiot. Thank you.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about this style of martial arts called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're probably thinking, what does that have to do with zombies? That's kind of a whole different, category, but I'll kind of show you a little bit, or tell you. So, what is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a grappling martial art that was created by 2 people, Helio and Carlos Gracie. And they created this philosophy that a smaller, weaker opponent can defend against himself against a more bigger, stronger, heavier assailtant, and become victorious through submissions, joint locks, and chokes. So the main concept of their philosophy are mainly focused on 3 things: body, mind, and spirit. So they focus on these 3 because also with these 3 they kind of focus on zombification. Of course you need a body or a living body to become human. If it was dead, kind of a zombie. Mind, because you had to have a mind in order to have any sort of self-thought. Spirit, which is basically your heart or how you feel about something. And with this, it's a philosophy. It improves each one by destroying and deconstructing everything. And the first day, on your first day, your body's gonna be sore, just like any type of exercise. Your mind is gonna be like dead because you have no idea what's going on. You're like, how you do this? You know, why am I in this position? I don't know, my arm can bend this way. And spirit, because every time you're submitted or choked, your confidence will go down. You'll be like a failure. Just kind of want to share a little story about my first few days learning this art. So, my first 3 days, I'm kind of a big person, kind of not that strong, but stronger than some people. But my first few days, there was this, I would say, like this tall of a girl, around her 30s, I would say, late 20s maybe, and she would basically treat me like a rag doll. You know, there's like imagine a rag, like a doll, and a child just doing whatever she wants to it. That's how I felt for the first few weeks. You know, my confidence was going down, and, you know, I just felt crappy like every time I went there. But it also rebuilds. So the more you go, the more you're improving yourself. Your confidence and your body and your focus will become improving. The more you go, the better your health will be. The more exercise you're getting, which will boost your confidence. When your confidence is boosted, you start to have a little bit more focus of what's going on. This happened, this happened, this happened. I know what's going on now. So when those three are combined, you start to have a better, more open-minded person. And I just want to talk a little bit about how that also involved with the Jiu-Jitsu community. So the Jiu-Jitsu community is very small. You get to know a lot of people in very different ways. You know, there's, out of everyone here, there's literally two people who actually study this art that I know of. And within that community, we choose who stays and who doesn't stay. So in every gym, dojo, or whatever you want to call it, there's always people coming in wanting to learn this art, becoming aggressive. So that takes into a patriarchic structure, which more people want to, or more aggressive people want to get in and learn it. While we kind of have a matriarchic system where we get to choose who stays. There's even now, there's women who are within the art who are probably as strong as or as good as the guys in there. And this also helps with bonds as well, because within that class, there's a certain amount of people that you will get to see, and eventually that'll become more of a family member than just, oh, this guy from class. I see him every day, that's it. But it becomes more of that. You basically have a family bond with them, because you get to see them every day. You have have a body-to-body contact for everything to work. You get to feel how they feel during that moment. You can tell when they're mad, when they're upset, or anything. You basically become their best friend in those moments, because you're just studying the same thing, just like everyone here. Well, most of you guys here are studying the same thing. And our guest speaker who came in, you know, we were interested in that, and he was able to teach us something that we're interested in. So when we learn something like that, we basically become someone who is connected to him. We might not see him every day, but we still have that connection with him. That's something that Jiu-Jitsu will always have, that connection with one another. And this also includes, well, kind of the main thing I wanted to include was about how this also correlates with the matriarch influence, because I remember with Jake, he talked about the Horus and Osiris legend almost every day in class, and I thought it was interesting because they're not just talking about, you know, selecting people, but also how society can work, how we can select certain people who aren't aggressive, who aren't just being brutes and just want to show off their strength. We get to choose those type of people. And within his story, the Osiris and the Osiris myth, it's more focused on this woman who chooses the people that are within that group. And now there's schools that even choose who gets to stay the women choose who gets to stay within that group. And I kind of want to go into all of that. Also, it helps with self-defense, with women becoming more confident in what they're capable of, not worrying about what Jake was kind of mentioning earlier, on their body, because then they learn that, oh, I can do this with my legs, I can do this with my arms, I can do so much with my body that there's no reason why you should be ashamed of it, which as well as boosts confidence. And a woman who has confidence shouldn't be worrying about what can happen to her, and less with her knowing that she knows that she can take on a lot more people and bigger people than they can take her on. Something like that. I'm not sure if I rephrased it right. But that just shows that women can become part of a society where they are equal to men. And I'm still kind of working this out, but kind of wanted to show a small demonstration with one of my classmates. So that's kind of the thing that can happen once you kind of just start learning everything. And
so the move he wanted to demonstrate was a particular arm lock variation, I guess he called it. It was a submission, but it's standing. So it's gonna require me jumping and him being in coordination with like trying to catch my body.
Just don't fall and break
nothing.
anything.
I again did not try this.
Oh my god.
Wow, I'm glad that ended well. Jeez.
But luckily he's big enough.
Wow. Very cool.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. That's a bond that just people have. Like we rarely talk we don't really talk in class, but just because of that one connection, we're able to just I guess become friends. Have that special connection between us, and that's kind of wrapping it up.
Hey, good job, Victor.
All right, anybody who would like zombie makeup while other people are reading, I'm going over to the zombie makeup area to perhaps get a wound, but you can come over and see what there is. So follow me over there. And then, is there anyone else who didn't say you wanted to read, but you got so inspired you want to? I was looking at the floor. All right, then, yes, please do another. So we're gonna be over here getting wounded, and you can do another piece if you'd like.
Here it goes. I cannot find a flaw about you. Your heavenly presence makes the statement we are all imperfect untrue. My eyes remain fixated on your beauty, and truly the world must see you as I do. You light up my face in a dark room like the moon does for the earth and create waves in my moods that'll keep me in pursuit since the first time I gazed upon you. You are in tune to every tune in which I am amused, infuse views inside of me that I did not see until I met you. You spew poetry and haikus and do not fail to allure your love for nature, which I do find cute. And few dudes will choose you for the beauty in you, but this poem proves that I am the perfect dude for you. See, I cannot think of a better word to rhyme with you. And so I must make my move. I swipe right on your name, and hopefully you do too. See, but why do I laugh? Was it silly to think that we can find love on a dating app while there are people who hold this thought more sincere? Was it silly to think that these selfies and bios can allow us to truly know a person much more because they controlled what you hear and what you see? Was it silly to think that love at first sight was actually real? But I've seen lust at first sight. And at times it is much more than the initial attraction when you meet somebody. At times us men will kill off the humanity in a woman and leave her with nothing but her body and the habit of second guessing men. I played countless funerals in my head. For every woman stripped of her soul and left with the corpse, I've seen too many women plead for their life, but don't you know a killer would never negotiate with their victim? See, you could expose everything inside you. Let all your secrets come loose. Shed light on the darkest times, hide, explain your point of views, control every perspective that they see so they can see the real you. So show them your rapists, your molesters, all your times of abuse, push out your pains, show the scars that you caused because of feuds, show them your family, the passions, and the God that you trust, but they're still just gonna see you as lust. That's lust at first sight. Thank you.
This is about my mommy. Agripina. To this day, my mother has a magazine cut out of a great plantation-style house with a white picket fence and season-changed trees on her refrigerator. The front yard has a couple embracing and a golden retriever. Might be the saddest thing in her rented, dilapidated, cement-surrounded house off the forgotten suburbs of the 94 East. She idolizes that photograph with a dream of a different life, from the marriage that never worked, the man she never had, the father she couldn't give us. She's been holding on to that photo since I was a child. And when we drive through these grand neighborhoods on the other side of town, tall, accomplished houses lining the maintained streets, she compares other people's homes, their lives to ours. Each one, and which one would be hers. Mijo, cuando seas rico me compras una. Mijo, when you're rich, will you buy me one? Like a child with dreams of one day growing up, immigrant mother with the American dream. This one's about heroin. Give him divinity. The serpent's clench. Skin rolling onto itself, pinched under belts, hoses, or plastic wrap, just enough to reveal blue virgin veins. Give him a single shot of possession and man's dependence, strategy to hunt and gather the day's fix. Give him skin graft after skin graft until his arms and legs bruise and bleed relentless. Give him a reptile life. Give him a dampened corner of Imperial Avenue and 25th to revel in his kingdom of rats. Give him a place among us, the statistics, the Skid Row royalty. Give him underpass track mark housing in our cookie cutter tents. Give him obedience, give him devastation in sex and clockwork habits. Give him unconscious loss of daylight peeking through the motel windows while police drag him from soiled sheets. Give him shakes in fear of the morning's pain. Give him self-preservation through self-pollution. I was the perfect fatherless statistic. Our male role models were the blockers and soldiers, hustlers and runners, strung out on machismo, wet with adrenaline and shot out. Dose after dose of short-sighted, fast money, cars, and firma nalga attracted to the power. Just like we were. We made our kingdoms from gravel and dirt and salt of the earth. Our princes, little homies ready to put in work. To see who was the most down, who was a man. They were molded from the same clay my ancestors made ceramics and art and temples. Our queens, strong women, the backbone of the barrio. But our forefathers were forgotten. Maybe it was the parque on the verge of being a police substation, the riots, maybe the zoot suiters. But we lost the Olmecas and Zapata and Guatemoc. Our forefathers were the OGs. They told us walk like this, stand like this, Russian like this. Khaki suits and Pendletons creased like this. These steps were sacred, red with blood and struggle. But now that's not me. I see I'm a paloma, leaving a crow's nest. So if I hear where you're from, I reflect. I'm from my abuela, a beautiful Yaqui girl on horseback, riding the Baja Sur from the Sonoras. I'm from my mother, cleaning houses to give us a better life. Though riddled with struggle, she did it for us. I'm from Brentwood and Suavecito at 5 a.m. I'm from my tios and father working and fighting to preserve el parque. I'm from hundreds of years of blinded conditioning, finally awake and able to see. Yo soy esa paloma. I am that dove in a murder of crows. Most nights spent drunk in stupor, wailing, looking up to the balcony next door. Like the grim light, hope for reassurance. I don't want this. I don't want to be this. Low, drugged, likely to fail, wreck of a student. The depression is glamorized and stigmatized by those not in it. Give me the example of a broken bottle poet, not fucking Chuck. Give me the example of broken balance with this beginning's end. Dawn can't bring me home, and the motels don't give me wake. Where's the end? Where's my end? Where's the graft of identity magnified to new heights through broken-eyed wisdom? Where's courage? Courage woken by endless rock-gut wine and steel reserve. Where's our father? Where are idealizations of my past? Huh, Elliot? Where are the minds of my generation? Wound, bound, broken, unraveled genius. Alan? Where are the beginnings to this end? The wine doesn't help and the pills don't either. The fusion false idea of the low spring mighty. Where will I go? Who will save my gun? Where is the beginning of this word fucking end? And where would I go? And who would save the gun?
Excellent.
Does anybody have anything that they brought that they didn't want to do? Because they didn't want to do it yet, but now it's on.
This one's about heroin. It's called Velvet Skin. Fog-covered meadows, blanketed from beginning to end, solace lives there. Found in an unlikely friend, the corner of Ashbury, we find our liquid and hazy relief, quells all the madness, though its time below is brief. Found Jesus today, at the end of a magnificent high, any more into me and I think that I might die. Boarded up windows, the palace showing signs of wear, maybe one more hit before everybody gets there. So I take one collapse, and into my own self-loathing, this needle is the wolf that's in sheep's clothing. That dog bites, though, makes man into a cowering child. Once more won't hurt. I want to get that blue vein filled in. And this one's about being sad about a woman not being around. So, the opposite of the sex thing. So this one's called the Florentine Fountain. Sun rising over a marble arch, so pious he stands ready to march. Pure as the water that bends, he tells us where our time ends. We gather in the halls on our knees, his ears pious to our pleas. On earth, as in the fire's flames, in heaven where the glass frames. Light bends around the scene, carries the cross with a slight lean. Words echo through all the souls, filling those empty, wretched holes. Such is the color of his granite tomb, keeps the belly as the cold womb. Smoke cascades over the pews abound, rubbing the tough callus around. Showing men what boys will become, giving women a reason to feel some. The noose wraps the old man's neck 20 times that the knots are checked. Air hangs still over that last moment, those words that are repeated just for atonement. That's it.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. You just have to show you. Oh, Chihuahua. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank all of you for coming so much. Yay.
Of the dead, it's calling me. It wants to be read, to set them free. Can't set them free. If I chant the words, all hell will break loose. They will walk the earth with nothing to lose. I feel its power trying to take control of my soul. At the witch's hour, I'm gonna throw it in a bottomless hole. They'll stop to listen to the siren song, 'cause it's 100 years long. Won't let me be. It screams in my head to set them free. I will destroy it if it's the last thing I do. No more Book of the Dead before the day is through.